Then I actually saw a movie. I watched a movie.
Started. Oh, my bad.
Oh, hi.
Sorry. Well,
Welcome, Burnout Studios.
truthfully, after the last two videos we did, that nobody's watched.
Oh, nobody's watched those. Well,
I was like,
yeah,
I was a little lackluster into that intro. I was like,
well, I mean, we were trying something.
we were trying
different,
something,
but
apparently that is not our demographic.
people want our stories, not somebody else's stories. I guess. Even though I love stories of every kind.
I guess we can always add that into our stories as we talk about our stories.
Right. But speaking of stories, like I was saying when we first started there, I did actually watch a good movie last night. It was An Unfinished Life.
An Unfinished Life.
Yeah, it was a Robert Redford movie, and he's an old retired cowboy, and Morgan Freeman's in it, and Jennifer Lopez, believe it or not, and it's I think it was sold as a drama, when they were advertising for it a long time ago, but I never watched it.
Yeah, she's like his daughter, isn't she? And she
actually,
her
daughter-in-law, because
daughter-in-law,
yeah. But because the story is his son dies in a car wreck that she has. He was in the car with her, and so he blames her for his son's death. But yeah, it's really.
But then she has to move in with him with her daughter, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think I seen that.
It was really good.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I liked it a lot.
I don't remember that much of it, like the ins and outs, but
well, what was funny
it
is
was cute because he doesn't like her, but he loves his granddaughter,
right?
And so he's gonna make sure she has a place to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he knows the mom has to come with her,
right?
And
then the whole Morgan Freeman little side story of the bear, because Morgan Freeman plays a cowboy who unfortunately got mauled by a bear, and he has to get pain medication every morning.
That's right.
From Robert Redford gives it to him, and also rubs some kind of lotion stuff all over the scars on his back and stuff.
It'd be interesting to know if that was part of the original story.
I don't know, but I loved Morgan Freeman's character.
Oh yeah, well, because he had that car accident where his hand became immobile. In fact, I don't know how much use he still has of that actual left hand. If you start noticing for about last 10 years, this hand really doesn't do anything in movies. It just kind of sits there just because he got in a car accident and messed up a lot of all the nerves and stuff in it. And so I'm almost wondering, was it like he was going to be this character, and then that happened, and I was like, oh, well, what if we added this, and this to it?
Right. Well, I think in a lot they had to have him crippled in some way because they sold all their cattle.
Yeah.
Because once the son was gone, they couldn't really take care of the place, and especially after he got mauled, everything kind of fell into disrepair, and they sold off all the cattle to keep the place.
Crap, getting old sucks. Well, it's fascinating too. That reminds me of, there's that show on one of those TLCs or whatever, Discovery Channel, Mountain Men. And they got that one guy that's up in Montana who's like 70 years old still doing it. It's like it's crazy. I mean, that guy's just like,
well,
he's one hip falling or something away from, can't do this anymore.
Right. Well,
and then
that's the kind of the exciting thing is a lot of people live their lives in the city knowing that they're going to live forever, but out there you're one misstep away from this could be your last day.
Yeah. Fall down a hole, nobody's gonna come get you.
Some lion jumps on your back, yeah. You accidentally run across a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
Well, I guess there's technically bears in the city that you can run across. And
so we had talked on several podcasts about turning the town called Liberty into more of a short stories with pictures that we could read and actually have the pictures match the story, and we could post those for people to watch. And I've been working on the first, well, actually the first two, but I was working on the first one last night, a little bit more, so I have more of it than anything else.
well, that's what comments would be great about, because me and Marty, we're going around with this idea, because we had this idea for the story. And I think we pretty much got it down. I mean, I love the idea you talked about yesterday about the idea that it's a Grimm's fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fitting it in the right scenario so that we can show the pros and cons of life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how to, I don't know, because like I understand 1984 was, it's like, at the end it's like, oh, but every time that would be, because it's almost like those prequel movies. I hate prequels because it's like, oh, they're in danger. I know. Oh, how are they going to get out of it? Oh, but I know they do.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, we put them in such amazing.
Right.
It's almost like you had to try to create something even more harrowing than the original thing that you saw them do.
Right. Well, what's funny is
the original thing you saw them do was the most heroic thing that was ever done, and yet now you have to do something even try to top that because because the expectation is, well, how are they going to get out of that so they can go do this later?
Mm-hmm.
But they somehow figure it out. You know what I mean? You just know they're going to figure it out. So.
Well, it's funny because that's one of the things that's kind of nice about a setting story where it's not based on some main character. We can kill them off.
Well, I know, but that's the thing, though, is if we know that every time we see the character, they're going to die at the end.
Nah, not every one of them.
Well, not everybody, but I guess what I'm saying is just it gets repetitively old, quick, and so I was just trying to figure a way to show the city, like in these different parallel lights,
right?
Where you could juxtapose, or and sometimes it's a little bit better than others, and you're like, oh, there's a glimmer of hope. Oh, maybe not. Oh, but type thing.
No, I mean, you gotta ask yourself:
I gotta stay creatively excited about it.
Is there any glimmer of hope in North Korea? No.
Well, I don't think we have any shows about North Korea. It was like Tim last night was talking about Leave It to Beaver. It's amazing how somebody can. He's done it a couple of times. He's like mentioned things. And it's like, oh, you completely missed the whole point of what you're talking about. And then I've seen him say stuff, and then like a couple weeks later, he brings it up, and he says it the right one. It's like, how come you didn't say that back there?
Right.
How come you didn't understand that what you really were talking about was that? Because like he's talking about how there's the moral decay. So what's so different about today's standard? Kids grew up watching, kids were watching Leave It to Beaver, and kids came home and they saw this ideal of mom and dad are going to take care of everything. Mm-hmm. Everything's going to work out. Because they're talking about growing up in the pandemic, how everybody's stressed out. They think everything's doomsday. From the last crash and all that stuff. And it's like, well, you're right there, Tim. You're right on the crust of it. What he didn't say is, the difference is all the TV shows are all doom and gloom and dystopian. Like there's no Huxtables on TV. There's no Family Matter. There's none of the all the families are fucked. All the parents are doing whatever. You know, it's like show that. It doesn't matter if you know other people that didn't grow up in that, or you know, it's like you give the aspire something to, or the inspiration to aspire to, you know,
Right.
because like the Huxtable's a great example of that. You didn't have to grow up in a black home or anything like that to understand that those are great family values.
Yeah, but in order to be the Huxtables, because in the Huxtables, he was a doctor, she was a lawyer, but yet they still seem to spend an inordinate amount of time with their children.
Right.
If you are a doctor and a lawyer in real life, you're never home.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're never home if you're climbing the ladder, you know, and stuff like that. So.
I mean, and it's funny because, you know, it used to be the American dream, a house and 2 kids and all that kind of stuff. It used to be that you could acquire those things because you could have one job, and mom could stay home and take care of the kids. You can't afford a house with one job anymore. I mean,
right. Well, and apparently, I mean, the kids, even though Heathcliff had his office in the basement, apparently the kids came home and were upstairs. You know, he was just downstairs. So if you need some, you know, nowadays you can't leave kids alone, and
right.
Yeah, there are differences, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, he gave up having an office at the hospital or an office somewhere down in a park to have it out of his home. Which meant he could be there
home.
Right. Yeah. So, but those are, and I think that's something maybe the pandemic has actually woken people back up to. The idea that, maybe the wife and kids or the family has been more important than what I thought it was. You know, so many people are starting to want to work from home again, or not again, but like realizing, wait. And in fact, they've even gotten to the point where it seems like, yeah, I'm not going to take that job unless I can do it from home.
Right. Yeah.
I'll go come back to the office. No, I'll go work for these people. They'll let me.
Because, you know,
work from home.
I was telling you, I went to get my tires replaced yesterday, and next door to the tire company there was a Chili's. So I, went in there to kill the time. So I was, eating lunch, and when I first walked into the Chili's, it was just like the restaurant that I work at. There was one server, one manager.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
That was it, yeah. Laura went to Popeyes yesterday, and I guess through the drive-thru, the guy was like, "Hey," he gave her a card and said, "If there's anybody who wants to work, let us, please send them our way. There's only 2 of us here."
Yeah. But I mean, and that's across the board, every restaurant that I've ever been to, and I've worked at, it's just getting worse and worse. There's more people quitting than there are getting hired, and it just perpetuates itself because the more people that quit, the more people want to quit because they don't have any help, and they all get burnt out, and it's crazy because like I just had to have a meeting at my work. It was a teleconference meeting with the bigwigs at corporate or whatever, and that was what the subject was how to
retention.
Yeah, retain these employees and why people leave and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah,
because you should look at it and say, because you guys were all scared cowards and told the government, okay. You know, if more businesses would have stood up, you know,
well, I mean,
a year ago and said, your 2 weeks are up.
right.
Okay, we did it in a month. Forget it. We're going back to work.
Well, yeah.
Then we wouldn't have these problems now. But you all put your tails between your legs.
Well, that was the
And
biggest.
said,
The biggest thing is you know,
now you're bitching and moaning about it.
you know, I was working at, you know, a company that didn't close down during the pandemic, and they continued to pay their employees. They didn't lay anybody off. But I would say that I was luckily in that minority there, because most restaurants that I know, even like big names like Olive Garden, just closed their doors, laid everybody off, and you know, waited until the pandemic was over, which it's never going to be over, and then you know, they opened back up. But you know, as a company, I can't imagine opening back up and then calling all your employees that you just laid off and say, hey, you want your job back? And having, you know, the employees have the employees say anything but fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, you just threw me away like I was a piece of garbage, and now you want me to come back?
We'll give you $200.
You know, it's just, it's like, I mean, I don't know what these companies expected, you know, but yeah, so many companies did that and, you know, have reaped the benefits.
Yeah, now they're reaping the, you know, and I was talking with Laura again, you know, it's amazing how, you know, what's that saying, truth is stranger than fiction?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like, you watch a movie like Demolition Man,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, how in the hell do we ever get down to just Taco Bell?
Right.
Taco Bell won the fast food wars, right? Or the restaurant wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're seeing it right now. It's a perfect example of it. So, we only have 100 fast food chains.
Right.
Things are starting to get, like, thinned out. Well, soon we're going to have supply chain issues where you only get chicken to 50 of them.
Right.
So then only 50 of them are able to survive.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, oh, now we can only supply chicken to 25. So 25 survive. Then it's down to 10. Then it's going to be down to just 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're the only ones that can employ people. They're the only ones that, then they buy up all the other chains restaurants. And so then you're just going to have just McDonald's everywhere. Or just, what's up? Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean,
Leland has busted into the show.
Right. Well, what's funny is that
Really?
the
George
supply
Washington said what?
the supply chain issue is a big thing.
Yeah.
There's so many restaurants that have can't keep up with anything.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to get, and all these experts keep trying to explain to people there's a shortage crisis that's on the horizon that we don't see. We're seeing it right now when you try to buy something and your shipping costs have doubled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they talk about this idea that there are just shipping containers stuck in China on the docks because shipping has gone up so much that they actually have to like bribe to get their containers on boats. Are you sure about all that? And so there's just stuff left there. Like this one guy was saying, the one thing that some people aren't realizing that's gonna hit soon. Yeah, that's a spot on the screen. You're right. There's nothing special, but just a spot on the screen. He's pointing like one little paint patch on the screen, like that paint patch. He's like, oh, look at it. But something as simple as school shoes for your kid. People just
Well, yeah.
they're gonna dry up.
Yeah. I mean,
since I mean, think about it. If only 2 people are at the restaurant serving the food, how many people are producing the food?
you mean it's cooks?
No.
Oh.
Farms.
Yes. Well, it's
How many people are out picking the food? How many people are out, you know what I mean, processing it? It's like that. If there's a shortage on where you get the food,
but
that was a lot of energy.
right. But yeah, you're
I'm
right.
gonna have to
Well,
deal with that later.
what's funny is the producers, you know, like because you know my family has a ranch, and the cattle are still there.
Right.
They're still buying and selling cattle and sending beef to market. But the problem is when the pandemic hit, it was the processors.
Yeah, the processors, the slaughterhouses.
Right.
I mean,
They closed down.
right. Not only did they close down, but now they open it back up.
Nobody wants to work.
How many people came back to work?
Not very many.
Maybe they got a quarter of the staff. Mm-hmm. And so what's also going to happen then is the thing that all vegans don't want to understand, or well, I guess at least they died happy in the pasture. No, they died and left disease behind so that the other cows can get all affected, right?
Right.
You need to cull the herds. And without that happening, then you're gonna have over oh gosh, my words are failing me. Where you overuse the pasture, overgrazing.
Right.
They're gonna eat everything. Then the little ones aren't gonna have anything to eat, and then
Right.
and the old ones will just starve and die, and
Right.
or you're gonna create a whole new level of predator,
Right.
which will probably be your dogs.
And then there was another thing that that the powers that be in Washington thought was a good idea was they turned a bunch more land here in Utah into government parks or whatever you want to call them.
Sanctuaries.
And
For the most
like
part.
the Bears Ears thing, that was what was that, 5 years ago or whatever? They were talking about turning Bears Ears into a national park, which was all of the national monument thing there plus but what a lot of people don't understand is yes, ranches usually own quite a bit of land, but most of the stuff that they graze their cattle on is BLM land.
Right.
So when the government says you can't graze there anymore, that really affects the ranchers.
It's amazing how it's just open range, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's kind of funny how it's come full circle on. If you look at that story, here's some guy who thinks he owns all the land and runs off the free graze guys, and now the government's running the owners off their own land, off the free grazing. It's kind of fascinating, but
Yeah.
well, so right. So you want grass fed, but you can't have grass fed because of that. So that's why they turn to corn.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're all corn fed feed, and
Well, in the feedlots, they're trying to pack on as much fat as they can before they kill the cattle.
and they've also found that corn adds a distinctive flavor to the meat.
Right.
So, and I don't know. Sometimes I think the corn actually does taste better than the grass fed.
It definitely is a fattier beef, and
Yeah.
if you were to believe the chefs out there, fat is flavor, and
Fat is flavor.
you know.
But even it just has a different flavor. I mean, you are what you eat, and so
right.
There's something different in the flavoring with the corn. I've been able to tell the difference when I've had grass fed.
Right. Well, I mean,
beef.
you know, if we were to learn any lessons from our Asian brethren out there, you know, Kobe beef, or you know, they feed them a high fat diet basically, and they massage their muscles. And I know that sounds silly, that, you know, some farmers out in the field massaging his cow, but basically what they're doing is they're breaking down the proteins in the meat and allowing more fat to get into the muscle itself. And so when you know, we have a scale here, you know, for beef. You know, we have the choice and the prime. And prime, when they kill the cattle and they cut them up, if you're wondering, I worked in a slaughterhouse. When they kill the cattle and they cut them up, there's a guy that goes around and he grades the meat. When they cut through where they can see the prime rib part of the cattle, they can see how much marbling is in the meat, and the more marbling, the higher the grade. You know, so you got the prime and the choice and the et cetera, et cetera. Most of the stuff you get at the grocery store is choice beef. What's funny is at Costco and Sam's Clubs, you'll notice that it seems like the pricing at those places aren't any better than at the grocery store, but what they're selling is actually prime beef. So it's a better grade of beef, so that's why you know, it's considered cheaper. But what's funny is the Wagyu beef scale, or the Kobe beef scale, is completely different than the prime and the, you know, the stuff that we use here at the USDA. But what's funny is they their scale, it's like an A through E or something like that. It's been a while since I've looked at that. But anyway, if you look at that prime rib versus, you know, a Wagyu prime rib, there's so much marbling in there since they break down the muscle and stuff like that. It is. If you've never had Kobe beef, I highly suggest, you know, that you try it. It has, you know, like I said, so much fat, so much marbling that, you know, you just give it a little bit of a sear, and it's like eating butter. It's just melts away. It's, you know, it's really good. But yeah, so
one day, maybe.
Well, yeah, it's expensive as hell. That's for sure.
Expensive.
But anyway, so should I read this? Do we have any of that original, the pictures from the first? Because we were looking at them last time we were here, but.
What do you want? You just want
from the first frame.
Oh.
The very first. Because I remember we had them, but they were out of sequence.
Is this different? That is different. No.
I don't think that was it.
No.
Aha.
No, it was not it. And that's something different.
Yeah, that's the cover page. I actually have that on my phone. It's a screensaver. Our background. It's one of my favorite pictures.
So I don't have that. Okay, so I need to, but I should have it. Let me just check off of this thing.
Because We had it last time.
Right. So this is... Nope. This should be it. Yeah, so that's the... This is that new hard drive I bought. The
right
external one.
Cool. Aha. That looks familiar. Aha.
Good. Okay. Wait. Dun, dun, dun. Is that what you wanted?
Yes. So this is where the comic book version starts. We might want to add. So I'm going to start reading here, and I'm sure your mind will fill in some of the pictures here. The sign was big and bold. It was visible for miles before entering Liberty. It was held in the air on one large pyramid-shaped cement pylon. The billboard-like sign had only one word: Liberty. The monorail rocketed past the sign, leaving the woodlands, heading over a small hill and down into a city built along the coastline. The television speaker system softly played, "My fellow Americans, I stand before you today truly proud of what we have accomplished. Today is a historic day, but not only for Liberty City. Today is a celebration for the world. Many years ago, a promise was made. The promise was to care for our Mother Earth. It began as a movement. Like all great movements, it started small. People began recycling campaigns. People started to carpool. People started using less plastic and less styrofoam." Samantha pressed her face against the glass, staring out at the city as it zoomed closer. Samantha beamed at her parents seated on the train next to her. Her parents looked on her with pride. They admired the new blue dress they had bought her. Her fluffy afro was separated into pigtails, making two fluffy pom-poms on her head. There she is. Anyway, people gaze up at the train from the streets of the city below as it streaks into town to deliver the people to the cities and the many shops and sights. People glance for a moment as the train passes by and comes to a stop in the nearby station located in the heart of the shopping district. People crowded the shopping mall, moving from one shop to another, busy joining the families and friends accompanying them. The radio system at the mall continues playing the broadcast. Many states began to change the law based on the thoughtful and selfless actions of its citizens. Then, over time, a fundamental shift in the way people think happened. People everywhere stopped caring only about themselves and began to recognize we must care for all life on this planet. We must stop the pollution. We must stop the torture of the animals we share this world with. And we must, at all costs, begin treating the environment as the fragile beauty that it is. Hold on. Lost my place. A police officer outside the mall steps out of his electric vehicle. He scribbles out a parking ticket for a vehicle parked in front of a fire hydrant. His car radio continued. The movement began to grow. People demanded cars that would not pollute. They demanded plastics that would biodegrade. Passengers depart the monorail and either ride escalators or take stairs down into the mall.
Oh, excuse me.
The mall has many video billboard systems flashing through advertisements for the numerous shops waiting for the people when they reach the mall below. They demanded building a monorail system that connected the United States like it had never been connected before. Faster, quieter, safer, national travel, but not just for the passengers and the air they breathed, but it was also safer for the animals that lived underneath the raised tracks the train glided upon. Maria looked out from her balcony as she sipped her morning coffee. The world below her apartment was already moving at a fast pace. The monorail was dropping off people, and all the shops were open for business. She continued to get ready for the day as her television played. People began to realize they didn't need to live spread about. They recognized the impact the endless housing developments were having on the environment. People began moving into cities to allow the animals to reclaim their precious habitat. But the one most important hazard to the environment was our electrical producing industry. As I said in the beginning, we, the American government, made the people of this great country a promise. We promised to phase out the harmful energy producers such as coal and oil and replace them with cleaner, eco-friendly power producers, wind, solar, hydroelectric. They offer the world a break from the toxins produced by the traditional power plants. Charlie sprinted from his car. He was late for his class. He ran through the quad in the center of the campus. He understood that college wasn't the same as high school, but he hated being late. The PA system continued the public broadcast throughout the hallways in the college. The transition has not been easy, and the people of the city have been willing to be without power at times. But these sacrifices the people make for the greater good, and when asked, the average person will respond with pride, we must sacrifice for the greater good. John stared dreamily at Beth. She sat one row in front of him and 3 seats to the left of him in his science class. John was now a junior in college and luckily knew with a fair certainty what he wanted to do once he graduated from college. Most importantly, he knew who he wanted by his side when he started on his life path. He started to drift off thinking about how he should ask Beth to marry him. His dream was interrupted when a hand pushed on his shoulder. He glanced to his right, and his friend Carl announced in a whisper, "Dude, they're about to mention you." John looked up to the front of the class, refocusing on the television. Many people share this selfless view. Our colleges have worked tirelessly with our community leaders. They share this award. The president shifts his focus from the camera and reporters in front of him to the suit-wearing people seated next to the stage. "Please, Mayor, will you join me on the stage so I may award you this token of appreciation?" The mayor jolts from his chair. Excitedly, he moves over to the president. The smile and joy on his face shows his proud moment. Professor Williams exhales a genuine sound of amazement. He pushes the button on the remote control in his hand, and the television clicks black. This is kind of cool. I can watch the pictures as I'm going. He turns to face the students, who are beaming with excitement as well. "Oh my goodness, wasn't that amazing?" the professor exclaims to the class. "I wish the president would have mentioned our school by name, but this is still exciting." The professor places the remote control on his desk and retrieves a picture frame laying in the middle of his desk. "Well, class, I think we all know what time it is," the professor announces as he holds up the picture frame. A certificate is centered in the frame. "John McDonald, will you please join us down here?" The class erupts in hoots and cheers. John is having trouble getting out of his seat as his friends and classmates surround him, all jockeying for a chance to slap him on the back or give him a high five. John accepted the award, and at the end of the school day, he and Beth walked through the city on the way to her home. It was his daily routine to walk her home and buy her a meal on the way. As they were leaving the burger and ice cream shop, Beth exclaimed, "I still can't believe it. This is the start of everything for you. I mean, I still don't even know what I'm going to do after college, but you already have an internship with a government agency. This is huge." John took a drink from a paper cup he had left over from his meal. "Well, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't in shock, but I'm also a lot scared. You're right, this is huge. I hope I impressed them." He began to chew on the straw from his drink. Beth approaches John, taking the cup from his hand, and she drops it in the public trash can they are standing next to. She pulls the straw from John's mouth and kisses him softly on the lips. As she steps away, John's eyes are closed, and she says, "John, you impress me every day, and I am proud and I'm positive you will do the same to them." That's as far as I got so far. But I think that's as far as we got for pictures there. That's John and Beth there on the screen. So yeah. But, well, actually, no. The next scene would be him at the actual, at his new job, the internship. He's working for the power company.
Right.
So that last picture, which we had on the screen first, is him sitting in front of a computer. And then the story gets deeper and deeper. But yeah.
They seem like they have too normal of a relationship.
Too normal? Well, yeah, that's...
Well, I know, but it's just...
People are people. What, you want them to be robots?
No, not robots, but like... we can... What is going on?
You were hoping for goose-stepping Nazis?
Well, it's not so much... What the heck is going on here?
What are you trying...
I'm trying to... The lasso tool doesn't work like that. That's weird. If I don't go... I have to go fast in order... No, it's still... It's not supposed to chase you. I wonder if this thing needs a...
Calibration?
An update.
Probably.
It always works funky when this it needs an update.
Yeah.
Dang it. No, I was trying to move that over because...
What, the word bubble?
No, the... What's it called? These things.
I can't tell.
So the fan, not the fans, come on, brain. The windmills.
Oh.
Because I have a tangent going on.
Terrible.
Yeah, well.
We have tangents all the time.
Tangents are the death of your work.
The mind of an artist.
Well, what's fascinating about tangents, and a lot of people don't realize this, but
They focus your eyes.
yeah, they focus your eyes.
Right.
Yeah, gosh, what is going on? Everything's just not working. It's time for that. Need to get that new computer. It's funny how, well, about the tangent first, but it's not just they focus your eye, but your brain. It'll look at it, and for some reason, something's weird, something's off, and you won't understand why, but they'll just know that something is very wrong. And so the last thing I want with this is just for no apparent reason, people just don't like it. They just don't know why.
Right.
Because their brain is fighting against the look of it. You know what I mean? So, and it's funny because you go through art school, class, whatever, and you'll see a teacher just start omitting crap. And you're like, hey, what are you doing? You can't just do that. Why not? Because it's actually in the picture. So, oh, okay. So I can just omit stuff if it's taken away from the picture, yeah. So, yeah, it's fascinating. That's something I never. So like this little right here. That's a tangent. That. Oh, I guess you can't. But right here.
The windmill touching the building.
The windmill touching the building. You know, just you got to get that poked. But not only is the windmill touching the building, which isn't, you know, okay, so I can duck it behind it.
Right.
But it actually needs to be pushed over, right? So it doesn't look like it's just barreling. But now there's this line right here. This thing. That was a building facade. Did you see what I just erased? So, come on. So this right here. So it's touching right where the
line.
So doesn't this now look? If you look at, does this not look like another building? To an extent. You know, it might still look like another building. So another way to get away from that would be maybe this would work, but see, I did it again. Isn't that fascinating? I can't believe I did that again. It's supposed to be such a simple little thing. My gosh. Oh, I tell you that. I think it needs something needs to be happening, because this thing is just not working right. I don't remember getting rid of all this over here. I got rid of this line, but when did we lose the side of that building?
I don't know.
Maybe it was never there. What? Why? You know,
So more importantly, what'd you think?
I definitely liked a lot of the a lot more description in it.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Yeah, I think it'll be a nice little short stories that have the pictures, and we can read the stories and have the pictures timed just right, edit it, put it all together, and people will be able to come to YouTube and watch little, I guess you can't say animated short stories, but they're animated in the fact that the pictures cycle through.
Right.
So it'll be like a audio book with pictures, I guess, is the best description.
Well, they've been doing these things for a while now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Made Fire is still up. We'll have to look at it. It was a place where you could host it.
Mm-hmm.
And we could post it on there. Wait, no, should be more like this. And then,
but
if we post it on there, you can do the same thing. We can even add the audio. We can even have you read it.
Mm-hmm.
And have it flip through, which is kind of cool.
Well, that's the idea anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have the text necessarily on the screen. I just want to.
See, that looks better. I know some people but it makes a big difference. I need to fix. I'm doing the stuff off screen that you can't see now, but so even like over here, so his arm's on a tangent right here. That needs to be fixed. I find it fascinating how your brain just allows you to make all this stuff up as you go along. Here's a tangent, and while you're doing it, your brain, you don't really, a lot of times you don't see it.
No.
This is actually a tangent right here where this line's coming down. So what it does is it puts it on the same plane.
Right.
So instead of that building being way far behind him,
mm-hmm.
you think it's right on his shoulder.
Right.
This is all tangent right here. And in in movies you can get away with it because they're going to move.
Right.
This is a tangent with her collar right at that line. Gosh. That should be more like that. Yeah.
For all those viewers out there, this is what goes through in an artist's mind.
Well, it's what's supposed to go through it. It's what's supposed to go through, and then you see people who just put stuff out, and they really don't care about it. See, I didn't even see that's supposed to. That's the bottom of that. That should go across there like that.
Well, we might have to change this scene anyway.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to be eating out of a vending machine.
Well, I like the idea of the vending machine. They're just anywhere and everywhere. The convenience of
right.
The whole idea of our utopia is everything's readily available for you everywhere, anywhere, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what the utopia is supposed to be, right?
Right.
We're gonna what's the reset? You'll own nothing and be happy,
Mm-hmm.
type thing. So it's like, yeah.
Yep.
And in order for that to happen, then they have to like readily make things available for you.
Right.
But
Yeah. I can, because of this pandemic and the lack of people wanting to work in the service industry, I can see that more and more restaurants are going to kind of go towards a fast casual concept where there's one person at a counter that you order from, and then you go to your table and the food is brought to your table. Like Noodles and Company or whatever.
right.
And it's going to be that way because nobody wants to be a waitress or a server anymore.
Well, not only that, it's something that Laura encounters all the time with their catering stuff. You know, it's like they expect a tip.
Right.
And I tell her, I always fight with the concept of, well, if I'm ordering with catering service,
Mm-hmm.
I figure I'm ordering the service.
Right.
So whatever you're going to pay them is all included all into that. I don't see why I would pay a tip on top of
Right.
that.
Well, most caterings that have all that stuff included, yeah.
Most of it,
Should
you know
be.
what I mean, though. But it's just like I can understand maybe at the end going, oh well, maybe I think I underpaid for the service, and so I want to give a little bit more. But
Right.
the idea that a tip should be automatically assumed for some of that stuff is like, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because.
Right.
And she's like, well, but I'm like, I don't know, I'm just saying, this is.
Yep. But yeah, I think restaurants are going to change.
So a lot of that stuff is like,
You know what? What was funny?
prices got to go up, but
When I went to Chili's yesterday, when I was getting the tires changed, Chili's had the computer screen thing at the tables. I think that was the only saving grace that they had, because they had one server trying to serve all of these different tables. But luckily, with that computer, you could order off of it, you could pay your bill from it, all there at the table, and you didn't have to worry about anything.
right.
And so the server was literally just a food runner.
I mean, it's good in one way and it's bad in another way, because you
And I think that's the
start
way.
to lose some of
Oh yeah.
of what makes a restaurant a restaurant. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's but I think that's what you're going to see more and more in the future is they won't have to have as many employees because people are just going to be ordering off of their phone, basically, or a computer that's at the table. Or it'll be set up like a fast casual where you walk in, talk to a person, order the food, sit down, and it's brought to you.
everything's going to go off your phone.
I believe so. Because they have it, to where most of the restaurants you walk in, you scan a QR code, it pops you straight onto their menu. You can order off of your phone. So yeah, it's going to get to that point where everything is on your phone.
Right.
So yeah.
Which is supposed to be this great help in your life, not a tool to control you.
To track your life. Yeah, I know.
Well, not just track it, but they'll be able to... Oh, you don't want to follow these rules? Then we'll just turn off access to your phone.
Well, also, I mean, yeah. That's one thing they can do, but they can, basically use your phone to judge your carbon footprint.
Yeah.
And your environmental impact.
You don't want to get vaccinated? Then we'll ask AT&T to turn off your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Click.
Right.
We won't ask them to. We'll just, they'll just be a government entity now. And
yeah.
Emergency powers that we can do that. Click, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that whole old idea. I mean, I say it's an old idea because you see it in a lot of the dystopian stories where somebody has some biochip implanted into their body, and everything, all your transactions and stuff are on that biochip. It's like, we don't need a biochip. People buy these phones.
Yeah, that's true. The phone is our biochip.
This is the biochip, and it works great because people are
so addicted to them.
Well, if you leave your house without your phone, to go to work or to go anywhere, even to the corner store, you can't. It's like you can't do anything without your phone now.
Yeah.
And in the future, if they do away with paper money, which I think is coming, you will, need a device like your phone to make payments.
Mm-hmm.
I think at one point they might even get rid of the Mighty credit card. I mean, the companies will still exist, but it'll all just be digital. All of it on your phone.
I was talking to a kid next door about crypto, and he's all bought in, and we were talking about the idea that eventually even the stock market will go that way.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that your stock is actually a form of crypto. It is a coin from the company that you would buy, and then they pay you dividends off of that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's where we're going, man.
But it's fascinating, it's just like, I understand, if you want to, I guess we arbitrarily gave gold a value and then decided to hold everything against the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can arbitrarily give crypto its standard, but it just seems different.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know, but well, that definitely changed. That makes the scene look a lot better, but I don't know if it needed it. What's his name? There's a guy I listen to every now and then. So he talks about editing and producing comics,
Mm-hmm.
and he starts talking about, it's all great to have all that stuff in it, but you know what it does? It slows you down.
Right.
I want my book out faster, so who needs all that? Cut that out. Don't care about this, don't care about that. And it's just like, but didn't that make a cool picture? I don't care. He just wants, it's like, I can I can put out 3 books or I can put out 1 book. He's like, I'd rather put out 3 books, tell more stories.
Right. But yeah, it seems like we have a format though. Now we'll be able to crank these out, get these into the hands of the viewers.
Yeah. What I need to do then is we should sit down and say, how many illustrations per book?
Good question.
And then cherry pick the illustrations.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm liable to be like...
Well, I think what we'll have to do is, actually, that's a good idea. Because right now I'm just kind of, just writing. But what I think I'll do is, kind of separate it and instead of what we'd normally call chapters, because chapters are usually, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 pages long, depending on what book you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
But, I can make all the chapters as pictures. You know what I mean? I'll have a paragraph or whatever, a block of a story, and that as I'm reading that, when I get to the end of that, the picture will change to the next. And that way we can have an idea of how many pictures. Because there was one scene, there's that one scene where I was talking about that cop was writing a ticket.
Uh-huh.
That itself was just one picture, because there was that one picture. I remembered that you had it, or there was some cop that was, standing by his vehicle. And so, but I can separate it that way as I'm writing it, and
but we could pull that cop just out of that whole picture and make it a tiny little vignette.
Right.
But what I'm saying though is because I will end up thinking of, we should make this a picture of that, a picture of this, a picture of that, a picture. Mm-hmm. Instead of going, there's going to be 20 drawings in the whole story. Mm-hmm. What needs to be drawn and what can just be said.
Right.
Which would really tighten it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think for the viewer, the person that's listening to the audiobook, I think as it clicks through the pictures as I'm reading it, I think it's more entertaining for the viewer. So I'm not of the opinion that less would be better.
Well, no, less isn't better, but this is about time.
Right.
This is about 80 drawings. Then they're talking about half a year for one book.
Well, I mean,
2 days of drawing maybe. If I can get one out in one day, that's one thing. But if it's 2 days of drawing, then that's half a year for one book. If it's 20 drawings, now we're talking about every month and a half is a new story coming out.
Well, like the 21 pages, I think that's what we have there.
Right, but that's
how long did that take?
I can't remember.
Right.
But even still, that's well. But if it's 20 pages, and if like 2 days a page, if it was that long, some of them aren't that much. Would be that much, But then that's 40 days.
Yeah.
But you're looking at. I think we originally had this at 80 pages.
Yes.
Was what we originally.
Yeah, I don't remember, but
so that's 160 days, and that'd be 100 consecutive 160 days, not including any like a day off here and there, and that's now a part-time job because
but I think this is something that we can we can produce sooner than any of the other products that we're trying to produce.
To a degree, but I think, like I'm saying, well, I think if we're willing to streamline it a little bit more, we can produce it faster because. So, what you just read there was more detailed than a lot of the other stuff that you've written, which meant a lot of that doesn't need to be drawn.
Correct.
Because it was so detailed. But then, that's what the city is like. You know, you put these scene settings, you put the character settings, and all of a sudden, you see these things, and now you're able to start seeing how all that other stuff was playing out as you get the little scenes here, played out. So the idea that we could sit down and go, okay, this story is going to be 30 drawings. What needs to be seen and what doesn't.
Right.
And, it's like, because like that opening you talked about, the train coming into the city with the sign.
Right.
Well, I can do the train, the city, and the sign all in one drawing.
Right.
And then you could do all of there's so much
right
of that, but
I'd kind of like to see what that sign looks like. Because I mean, the way I pictured it in my mind is a giant cement pylon that's like a pyramid with the Liberty on the top. But anyway.
I don't know how I'd do that. I don't know if I would actually make it a pyramid, because people always try to find iconic imagery and things, and so it's just, yeah. So I mean, so much of our stuff is Greek and Roman because of the politics, because of the forum, and all that stuff. In their weird, crazy thing, it'd be so much. I don't know. Is it? Yeah, it's kind of this weird thing because the only things they have to go off of is the Soviet Union, China,
right?
But even China's trying. China, I think where the Soviet Union messed up, where China has been so successful is China said, we don't have to kill our past. We just have to incorporate our past. Russia tried to kill its past. All that stuff with the czars, all the they kept the Kremlin around, but that was it. Right? It's the only building from the old ages that they kind of kept and kept beautiful. Everything else went the new Soviet style, the block, beige, and whereas China has been like, no, we can make Dubai here and still keep it communist, and then they, with all their kung fu movies and stuff, we can still keep our heritage.
Right.
So it's like, how do we juxtapose that? Because I could see kind of a pyramid thing, like from Blade Runner, and then the top of it, the Luxor was supposed to be gold at the top,
right?
But then that gold is actually like shooting up a hologram of Liberty over the top of it, type of thing.
Wow. I don't know. I mean,
because the one fascinating thing that you would do with a dystopian thing like that is that the city has rolling blackouts because of energy demands, right? And then but that's just something you live with to be green,
right?
But that damn Luxor sign,
it's always on.
It's always on,
right?
That big old giant hologram that takes that could power 4 city blocks, that's always on. Yeah.
Yeah, you see that in there's lots of real world examples of that.
So that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's just coming up with the right type for Liberty.
Right.
That's gonna be the
Yeah.
That's gonna be the puzzles. What?
Because another thing I want to do in some scene that can you zoom in on so the viewers at home can see the Liberty lettering there? Because one of the things we had an idea for, and we never have done it, is that I really love this font and stuff we chose for this Liberty thing, and what it looks like to me, and one of the things that we're trying to recreate in real life was it looks like a fence, like on the side of the road, made out of corrugated metal, where somebody has just actually like spray painted or something Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And we were actually, me and Bruce had talked about actually doing that because we found a corrugated fence that looked really cool. That we were actually talking about using like water-based paint, so we could wash it off later, but to actually photograph our font. But I'd love to, in some scene where one of the main characters is like just walking along, have him walk by a corrugated fence that has that Liberty written on it, because I think that would be I don't know, I find it kind of iconic. I think it's cool. But yeah. Anyway.
Why does it always gotta be? Why does nothing ever gotta work right?
What are you trying to do now?
I'm trying to just freaking write. What? But okay, let's see. I'm trying to make a note for myself because I just had this idea that.
But what I'm going to have to do is to answer the question on how many pictures it would be. I think what we'll do is
I need to definitely do something.
I'll write it out completely, and then we'll go back and kind of see how many. Because you're right that that scene with the cop doesn't really even need to be in there. It was mainly just to show how vehicles have changed, because basically all the way I have it pictured in my mind is there's no more internal combustion engines. It's all electric.
Well, I tried doing that with this. This whole idea, these are all supposed to be like
electric cars,
variant electrics of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I was trying to do, but this one in the front is the only one that actually kind of looks like a modern electric.
Right.
So we can Elon Musk it up,
right,
and make them all look pretty much the same. Just a 4-door or a 2-door version.
Mm-hmm.
No, what I was just doing over here was the idea was it'd be fun to go and look back at some old I don't know how far we go back, but just try to find somewhere in history where Liberty was written on the side of something, and either written on a propaganda poster or something, and then the idea of somebody actually using that font.
Or
we
can look at like old French things because
I was thinking even if it said Libertas,
right,
it was like that would be.
Yeah.
That'd actually be pretty cool because then it's like they're, and so it shows there's some kind of underground movement happening.
Yes.
That
was the thought. Yes.
That they're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be cool to have that be the thing that's written on the fence in the story, whatever.
Right. Because that was another thing that I want, like in the second book, which is about animal rights, the main character doesn't die. He actually goes through a court process where he ends up going to prison. Because I also want to do one about prison, because the more people that get arrested, because in this type of society, just like in North Korea or whatever, once you're in the prison system, you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no getting out of it. And I'm of the opinion, because people are going to be arrested for petty shit. Most of the normal people, I guess you could say, you're going to find in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, you were talking about like an underground movement and stuff. Yes, there's an underground movement, and it's being driven from prison.
From prison, right. Well, the interesting thing, too, is that we don't know how much of it really got stamped out, but, the Soviet Union touted that there was no crime.
Right.
Well, yeah, crime gets eradicated when you stole a loaf of bread, we kill you.
Right.
You stole a loaf of bread, you go to the gulag, you die. Boom, boom. So, yeah, people are scared not to do any crimes. And so it's like at the beginning, you're in there with hardened criminals, and you're just the guy that said, but why?
Right.
And then eventually it's just, there are no criminals in
prison. That's just a bunch
prison.
Of people who...
There's just a bunch of people that say, but why?
Right.
Because
somebody made the observation, this isn't normal.
Because all the people that are willing to compromise their principles and who would be the criminals are the ones that are in public service, because they're the ones who, can just disassociate their actions with any type of moral outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's the idea anyway.
Right.
That's one of the things that's great about this, because not only do we get to tackle one subject at a time, we also get to tackle society as a whole.
Right. What's funny is listen to Tim and them talk about stuff, because they're still so left leaning, and yet he goes on these tirades, about losing your liberties, and I'm not gonna stand up for this and stand up for that, but maybe we should be able to do this. It's like, it's amazing how it's okay to justify taking away people's personal liberties for one thing, but not for another.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that happens in all facets of society in some form or another, but it's just kind of interesting to what's his name, the little Ian guy was talking about how instead of putting all this money that Biden's doing about bailout for this or that, why don't we just pay everybody to put solar panels on their homes? Why don't we just going down and equipping all homes with solar power and switching them over off the fossil grid, right? It's like, you could still have the fossil grid, but if we, instead of spending all the money doing this, we spent the money doing that, we could save natural resources in a certain way, It's like, but it's like, it's okay to mandate that, but not other things, and
right. I'm of the opinion that if there's a product like solar or wind, or that works, people are going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But
it works.
There's flaws in that system, though.
Well, the flaw is the reason why the government doesn't do it is because it costs too much probably to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I have a panel out, you guys need to come fix it, and then the backup of things like that. I ain't paying. You put it in. You pay for the fix.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah. So it's amazing how short-sighted their brains are at times. Because it feels good to fix something like that, but yet, what's the long-term ramifications of that?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you leave it to the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it to the private sector to say, yeah, we can do it, and it's going to cost some extra money to do it. But you know, if you feel good about, you know, at least Musk hasn't been openly, outwardly like saying you have to save. You know, he's not out there like
Mm-hmm.
Greta Thunberg, you know,
Right.
saying how dare you.
Right.
But you know, he's saying here's something. If you can afford it, do it.
Right.
You know, and I'll provide it for you. But otherwise, it's like she's saying that people who can't afford it have to do it, and it's like, where are we supposed to get it from?
Right.
Oh, the government's going to put it in for you. It's like, what? Where are they going to get it from? That's amazing how people just. I think that growing up in that whole, you know, you stream everything for $10 on Netflix, so you feel like, well, they're making content all the time, so it must be enough.
Right.
$10, you know, I mean, they're so heavily in debt, Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. I just something's got to come to a head here somehow, some way, and it might not be pretty.
Right.
And I'm worried about it.
Well,
hopefully we'd be able to get out ahead of it a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm not worried for me or you. I'm worried about, you know, future generations.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny though, you know, because like, you know, environmentalists are constantly scared of, you know, man destroying the planet, and I'm of the opinion that no matter how hard we try, we're never going to destroy the planet as much as we're going to destroy each other, and we're going to kill each other off, and the planet's going to be just fine.
Yeah, there's people who want to destroy each other to save the planet.
Right.
You know?
So yeah.
Well, it seems like the planet's doing a pretty good job fighting back right now. It's
Mm-hmm. Right.
Excuse me, and how much of that's man-made, I don't know. Just know the Earth goes in natural cycles,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where we are in the solar system.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh my God! It's COVID.
COVID. It's COVID. And I want to go take a test on the antibodies thing, see if I've had it or not.
Well,
I mean, do you have to take a special test?
I've had it. You know, and lately I've been watching more and more videos on, you know, natural immunity, meaning that you've had it versus, you know, because in the news right now is there, you know, I can't remember what show it was, but there was a news show where they were at interviewing Fauci, and they asked the question, you know, why should we mandate people get the vaccine if they've already have it? And it's shown, tests have shown that natural immunity from people that have already have it is actually better than the vaccine. And Fauci didn't have an answer.
Well,
He just kind of
maybe it'll wear off.
Well, we don't know how long it lasts. It's like, well, you don't know how long the vaccine lasts either.
Well, we know how long the vaccine lasts. Not long enough, because
Not
we're already
long
talking
enough,
about
right.
boosters.
Right. Because then you have to get boosters. So yeah. Anyway, you know, it's funny because when the pandemic, I can't believe we have to call this thing a pandemic. Anyway, because, flu's been around forever. But anyway, when the pandemic first started and everything shut down, et cetera, I asked the question. I brought up a very old thing that people used to do with chicken pox.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids used to get chicken pox, and then the parents would get together and they'd say, hey, let's have a pox party, where they would invite all the other kids to go play with little Billy who has chicken pox, so everybody would get chicken pox. Then they would have a natural immunity to it for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered, why couldn't we just do that with COVID? Because if the mortality rate is, very, very low, just get all the healthy people together, give them the COVID, because, but anyway, I guess it doesn't matter since we got a vaccine for it.
Supposedly it was because the hospitals get overrun with the people that actually needed, that had severe reactions to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the amount of, my brother got it, and it was like a strong cold.
Mm-hmm.
You got it and had to go to the ER.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I don't know if I had to go to the ER, but because I still am paying for that damn thing.
Well, I know that, but did you need that steroid shot?
I guess.
Well, you have to answer that. Did you feel, did it make a difference?
Well, I think what would have happened is my body would have fought back against it, and it just would have taken longer.
Right.
I think the steroid shot was a way for my body to be stronger so it could fight back faster.
But also, yeah, it did that. But didn't it help expand your lungs up so you could breathe better? Or not?
I don't know, because I was still on oxygen.
You're still on oxygen, yeah.
Right.
Well, you had to go get oxygen, right?
Right. But
and you wouldn't have gotten that if they hadn't gone to the ER, right?
I kind of wish that I could have, because this was in the early days of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, you got it really quick.
But one of the things that
all
I
that
wish,
Tinder action.
One of the things I wish is that I could have, because what pissed me off more than anything wasn't really the getting COVID. It was the reactions from the doctor. Doctors didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
They were scared to do anything. And it was funny because like Joe Rogan said, Donald Trump's not the picture of health. But what they did when he got COVID is they did the kitchen sink treatment, the same thing that they did with Joe. They threw everything at it. They said, hey, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. And they just treated him like a human pincushion and gave him all kinds of different medicines.
Right.
And they did the same thing with Joe, and everybody freaked out. It's like, ivermectin, that's a horse, blah 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 blah. And it's like, I would have loved to have the doctors even mention some of this stuff that was a possibility, but they were scared to say anything. When I first got the COVID, my first question was okay, what do we do? And their answer was, stay home.
Stay home.
And just wait. And I'm like, is there anything I can be taking? Is there anything I can do? And they're like, no, just stay home. And I'm like, is there a test I can run on myself? Anything? And they're like, no, just stay home. And if it wasn't for my sister sending me that pulse oximeter to measure my oxygen intake, they didn't even care.
Right.
Because at that time you couldn't even see a doctor in person. You saw them over a video call. And so when I got that pulse oximeter and was measuring my oxygen, I was breathing at an 83 or whatever. When I called them and told them that, then they suddenly cared. They're like, oh my God, you need to go to the emergency room. It's like, really? Why couldn't you have told me that 3 days ago when I asked you what I should be doing?
Well, that should be a perfect example of what this kind of was. It's a strong flu or cold, not, oh crap, 1 in 3 people are going to die if they get it.
Right.
Why? How do you know that? Because of the response. Because if you had gotten it, it's like, you need to get here now. We got to treat you now.
Right.
We need to stop it before it progresses any worse. Instead, it's just wait it out and see what happens.
Right.
That's what you do with the flu. That's what you do with the cold.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like the perfect allegory to the problem of what the hell happened. If that was the response, then that means that was the level of how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was more like the flu, more like the cold.
Right.
The only difference is the flu usually doesn't require any type, unless you're old, the flu really doesn't require any type of hospitalization.
No.
But here, somebody in their late 40s had to go in and get something, had to go and get oxygen.
Yeah.
So yeah, is it more? Can it be worse than the flu for some people? Yeah. Obviously, but is it worse than the flu as a whole?
No.
Probably not.
I mean, the thing is one of the benefits of COVID, and there's benefits to COVID. One of the benefits is everybody that I know that's scared of getting COVID, et cetera, is getting in shape. Everybody's taking vitamin D. Everybody's exercising and working out and losing their excess weight. I've lost a lot of excess weight. When I got COVID, I was obese, and I'm still considered obese, but that's these comorbidities are a thing, and that's one of the benefits is everybody out there, who's of that mindset of you got to help yourself. They're exercising and they're doing things. So that's one good thing.
I guess I need to be scared of it more.
Well, I mean, anybody that's out of shape and et cetera, I mean, it'll really knock you on your ass.
Yeah.
But I want to say something, but it's I think it'll insult so many people out there.
Oh,
because I have a theory in my head, and it really comes from being in the dating pool. When you're on somebody's dating profile, I'm speaking about females here, and you see their pictures, and you see this beautiful, in shape, lovely woman. You start reading into her, her profile, and she talks about herself, and more often than not, if they're beautiful and in shape, etc., they're usually conservative. The ones with the overweight, multiple facial piercings, pink or purple hair, they tend to be liberal or left, not liberal, because I consider myself liberal. But I guess you would say classical liberal, since I'm a libertarian. So yeah, but it's just funny. All the conservatives out there that were already in good shape. They've just gotten in better shape. Mm-hmm. And I think that truly, Rogan says it all the time, is how we fight this thing. Is you take care of yourself, you get in shape, you take your vitamins, and when the COVID comes, you don't even have to worry about it.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, Rogan's what, 50 something?
53 or 54.
Damn guy's a rock. He's one of those people that can go to the pool and take off his shirt and not have to worry about how fat he looks.
Yeah, he just has to look around your waist to see anything. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of the COVID. I just hate the fact that as a planet we had to shut down because of it. And really, I mean, I've often said that I'm not certain that there's a creator, but I am certain that there's irony. And one of the ironic things to me, and I'm not the first person to say this, but the doctor that we had that was telling us everything that we should do, closing down businesses and doing all this stuff, and Mr. Fauci is most likely the guy that was responsible for creating this goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if that guy doesn't go to jail, actually, he's not going to go to jail. Nothing's going to happen to him. He's just going to live out his life, get richer.
Well, I think what happened in California will set a precedent for how the future happens.
For Fauci?
Yeah, for everybody, because I think they keep talking about these turning points, whatever, on Timcast. These little things in history where history really changes. And sometimes there's these little things. I mean, what's happening right now with the governor's recall in California is it's a huge thing, but is it really? It's kind of, does it really impact us? Blah, blah, blah. I think it impacts us more than what we believe, because I think you could almost argue whoever wins will be the next president.
Yeah.
Because if Newsom retains it, he will be the next president. They will run him instead of Kamala, I believe. He was already groomed to be president. They've been grooming him ever since he was lieutenant governor. He was going to be lieutenant governor, then president. And that's the last person you ever want in that guy. When the shootings happened in Paris, when those guys just went nuts in the streets and were shooting just people in cafes and everything.
Yeah.
That guy said that owning a weapon yourself and having it on you, in situations like that, you're more likely to shoot yourself than them. So you'd actually do yourself more harm.
Yeah.
So I have maybe a 50-50 shot of hurting myself or hurting them.
Right.
But I should have a 0% shot at hurting them. But I will 100% get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he is. He is evil personified. I mean, if you ever want to understand what evil is, that is evil.
Right.
And Larry Elder is the exact opposite. I'm not saying he's the perfect guy, but I think he could swing from that, because it's only going to be a year and a half is all he'll be in the office for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he could swing that into a presidential run if he can survive, meaning literally survive the year and a half. Because wackadoodles these days. But
right.
I could see them running him as president with DeSantis as vice president instead of the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he'd make a better president. But
yeah,
if you haven't listened to any of his stuff, he is, for all intents and purposes, he's Thomas Sowell Jr.
right.
If you've ever listened to anything that Thomas Sowell has talked about, he is a very bright man. He talks very matter-of-factly. He doesn't. He comes at politics and philosophy through logic.
Right.
And he just says that for him, that old adage of follow the numbers. So he's an economist to begin with. So he says economy isn't the study of money, but the study of the effects of money.
Right.
Which is quite fascinating. So it's not about what the dollar does, or how the dollar does, it's what the dollar does.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's a very fascinating man. Larry Elder's very much the same. Probably more conservative than Thomas probably grew up being, but because, I mean, what was it, 40 years of difference, 30, 40 years of the difference of growing up in, I mean, Larry Elder still grew up in Jim Crow, but Jim Crow versus, the last end of Jim Crow. So, if you haven't listened to any of Thomas Sowell, find him on YouTube. There's some great interviews he's done. Same thing with Larry Elder. Go actually find some proper stuff. Don't listen to these nut jobs out there who are the black face of white supremacy. What kind of idiocy? And you have to be a fucking moron to believe that.
Right.
I mean,
well,
come on.
Just like people saying that Ben Shapiro's a Nazi. It's like,
right.
The Jewish
so listen. He's the Jewish face of white supremacy.
Right.
Now that doesn't mean he can't be racist, but that doesn't mean he's a Nazi.
Right.
That's different, right? I mean, but come on.
Yeah.
I mean, words matter, and we have a whole generation that don't believe in words anymore. They just,
it's funny.
Totes. Totes.
Part of me wants to do this liberty thing because, it's a way for me and you to, talk about these different subjects and, give our opinion on what the eventual conclusion is going to be. But my hope, besides being, a fun little entertaining story, is I want people to actually read these stories and shake their head like we're living in this right now, and you can't. I mean, I don't know how anybody, I guess a lot of people do. They wake up and they just shake their head and it's like, I can't believe I live in this,
Well, I think maybe it's like what they were talking last night on Tim's show about.
Because, like, for instance,
we need a whole society that's willing to say no.
Right.
And right now, people are scared to say no.
Right.
because they're gonna cancel, shut you down, do this, turn off your bank account, all this type of stuff. And yet, I think that's the thing about this book. You know, it's almost like there needs to be a couple instances within the book where it's like, there's the point right there. If that one person would have just said no.
Do you know who?
That's why I like the idea of doing like the Twilight Zone type of things,
Right.
where.
Right. But for instance, do you know who J.P. Sears is?
The Sears.
No.
No.
J.P. Sears is he's actually got a YouTube channel.
Oh,
If you haven't watched him, he's funny as hell.
Yeah.
He tries to approach all these subjects from a comedy point of view. He's you've probably seen him. He's got really long hair.
He's a redheaded
he's muscular and it's kind of a reddish. It's blondish reddish hair.
I think so.
And
yeah.
You know, he'll dress up as you know, different characters, you know. And like there was this one that he did where he was a normal person talking to these two woke people, and they were trying to convince him of all these things, and you know, he was looking at it from a logical point of view, but he was playing all three characters. And you know, so there was this one person who he's like, hi, you know, and he's dressed up as a woman. He has a, you know, a bikini top on and stuff, and he's like, yeah, I identify as I'm an asexual transgender. And he it clicks back to him, and he's like, that doesn't make any sense. Asexual means you identify as having no gender, yet you're transgender, which means you identify as the opposite of what you're born. And then, of course, their response is, you know, oh, you just hate. You hate everything.
Yeah.
But J.P. Sears, he's fun. You can look him up online. But, you know, that's just it. I mean, when I'm writing these stories, you know, on these different subjects, and, you know, I just, you know, the logical part of my brain, you know, is just screaming, none of this makes any sense.
Well,
at all.
It's like like I said, I watch this guy about comic books all the time, and one of his things in there, he does these voices, you know, for whenever he's doing like a woke person, you know, and so he'll start reading the actual text in the book, blah blah blah, because science. That, you know, the thing that used to be amazing about comic books was the fact that in the comic books, they actually explain the science.
Right.
Like, would break down, you know, the idea of Bruce Banner getting shot by gamma rays and all this stuff wasn't just science. It was because of what it does to the cells and how it mutates them, blah, 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 and that's the science behind all that. You know, but now they would write it and be like, he got shot with gamma rays, and he turns into Hulk because science. You know, it's like...
Well, it's funny because you know, that was
how do you talk to your kid? How do you talk to your child if your child is like comes to you and they're saying stuff like that, and you're just like, I mean, I think about it now. It's like unless I'm in a community where he's going to grow up in a different type of community, one like I grew up in, I'm not going to be able to talk to him. Mm-hmm. You're just going to look at him like, stupid. Just don't. I can't talk stupid today. Just stop. You know, I mean, maybe I'm just getting too old. You know, I've said this before. You know, I was like, when I was talking to the kid next door about crypto, I go, maybe I'm just getting too old. Maybe I just don't understand.
Well, here's something that entertains me, and I'm sure it happens a lot, but I love it when this generation, the woke generation, gets into something serious and goes into a court of law and has to face a judge. Because judges want to speak normal English. And if you deviate from that and start using the things like science, they will shit on you and throw you in jail. And it's just so fun to see a judge fucking berate somebody that's on the the witness stand. It's like,
have you seen that?
Oh yeah,
because I haven't seen. All I'm starting to see is judges being like, okay, whatever.
Right. Well,
we're gonna go with whatever the mob says.
It depends on if they're conservative or or woke themselves.
Yeah, I don't know about judges these days. Some of them, but yeah, I can understand. Yeah,
But yeah.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah. But I think it's these stories, they're doesn't matter the subject really. It's just we are in the dystopia. And all that we're going to do is show the eventual conclusion of what of where we're headed.
Fascinating is they were talking. I think it was on Tim, but they were saying that America you grew up watching, it's gone.
Yeah,
you haven't been living in that for 20, 30 years, and it's like that. Oh, you're kind of right. At least for the last 20 years,
right?
And I really look back to when they started making words not mean what they used to mean. And I'm what show really made me start seeing that? There was that Extreme Home Makeover show. Do you remember that one where they would come in and because the people deserved it, and somebody would serve in Iraq or whatever in the war, and they were instant heroes. Right. Your parent was a hero, or they were a service person on 9/11. They're a hero. We used to reserve the word hero for somebody who did something. Not just there's acts of bravery, there's acts of courage. But heroes were people who did stuff over and above, way above. I mean, just serving doesn't make you a hero. Right. Being Sergeant York and single-handedly moving your way across Dead Man Zone into German lines and then slowly pick down the sides so that hundreds of men didn't die. Right. That was heroic.
Right. Sully, the guy that landed that plane, that was heroic. But it's basically overcoming adversity is the hero.
Right. But not just not just everything. I mean,
I know.
Nowadays a hero is the same person that served a tour or got a Congressional Medal of Honor or got a Medal of Honor. That's the same person. They're both heroes. Right. No. There's a stark difference there between somebody who did something to gain a Medal of Honor to somebody just served. That's right. Go and read some of the stories of some of these guys that have what they did. Not did to get their medal, but received their medal for the actions that they did, because that's two different things, right?
The heroes are the fucking firemen that ran into the goddamn building before it fell down on 9/11.
Right. Or stayed knowing that something was happening and still tried to get people out, right? Those are heroes. Directing traffic that day? I'm sorry, but
Right.
right. Yeah. So
Right.
that was when I started seeing words change, because we started taking the value out of them, and now we see it with things like Nazi. We see it with white supremacists. We see it with all.
Well,
they don't mean anything.
It's the participation trophy.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that's pretty much where it started, was in our schools, with the whole participation trophy, everybody must feel good type of thing. Because it just spread from there, to where everybody, everybody has to win something. Everybody has to be equal. And it's like,
right.
Okay.
And it's amazing how many people complain now about media, about not media, news media, but like movies and TV shows. They're all the same. Well, yeah, it's because it's all the same. Why? Because all the people that have made it, they're all the same.
Right.
Why? Because none of them had any difficulties over and above the other person, so they didn't have a different perspective to come at it from.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's been 2 hours, and
Yeah.
I got to get going. And it's rare for me to say that. Need to let the wife start to get ready.
All right.
And I got to gear up to take on a 2-year-old for
Right.
next couple hours. Oh gosh, that kid's
Yep.
getting faster. He can outrun me now.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the first words, man.
He's starting to say some stuff.
Yeah, but mostly he just
Gabs. Yeah, it just does a lot of that. He's been saying some stuff, but not like. It's gonna turn on. We know it is.
Yes. And you won't be able to shut it off.
But no. He's already starting to get in that phase of, I do. He wants to do everything, and
Right.
I think that's sometimes the most annoying. When you're trying to do something, he grabs it and tries to think he can do it, whatever, and just
Yeah.
let me finish it. And we could have been done 10 minutes ago.
Just let him do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's why you need to have them when they're young.
Yeah. Well.
When your brain is not fully formed yet, and you're stupid, and the kid's stupid, you can live in stupidity together. But when you're older, and you see them doing stupid things, boy, it's tough just to be like, okay, let's go along with the stupid stuff. Oy. That's
Yep.
why you need mothers.
Right.
And my baby.
Yep.
All right.
Hey. God. Who are we again?
Outtime.com.
Yeah. Burnoutstudios.com.
That's what Burnout Studios. That's right there on the stinking screen.
Yeah. Burnoutstudios.com.
Right there. Burnoutstudios.com.
Hopefully, we can get one of these stories done and edited and put together, and I think it'll be really cool.
And then we're gonna market it. We're gonna market this to Blaze TV, and also I think to Tim Cast IRL,
or maybe even Shapiro.
Yeah, and Shapiro too. I think we gotta do all three of them. See if we can sell it on their networks.
But also, we got smaller players out there that might be able to help us out, like Seamus from Freedom Tunes.
Yeah,
I've been really enjoying his stuff. But yeah, I mean, our stuff's not funny, but it is a cartoon.
Right.
So yeah.
All right.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Leave a comment.